He is the Dean of the Rosen College of Hospitality Management, very well respected in the entertainment industry. And so he has been assisting us with developing the guest experience, the market demand studies, and also in opening up the black book and helping us get some of the right people to work with us on this project. Another person with an incredible black book is Ron Logan. He was a former executive vice president with Disney. Basically any show or live entertainment associated element in any of the Disney parks worldwide, Ron was the guy that was in charge of putting those together. So very skilled, tremendous black book, and he is assisting us with the project as well. And then Adi Millman, he was the prior director of the Dick Pope Senior Institute for Tourism Studies. He is actually the one that has conducted our focus group studies and helped us put together the Omnibus, the Travel Horizons study questions. And this team will be assisting us moving forward as we flesh out the guest experience design, look at staffing, look at setting up operations. They're going to be involved all the way through. I mentioned our architect earlier, HHCP. They've done some pretty incredible projects, resort projects, entertainment projects. And then we've also selected our construction manager, general contractor, which is a company, B&K KBR. They're a very large company. They do $11 billion of business per year, and they are located there. They have one branch there in Orlando that focuses on entertainment-related construction. So they have all the subs and the connections and everything that we need. And then, of course, there's the two instigators of this great venture. So there's myself. My background, I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, a master's degree in nuclear engineering from MIT. What do I do all day? I do business. And I've won a couple of entrepreneurial awards from the IEF and Peter Diamandis. And the thing I bring to the table is my Mars knowledge and also my network, because I've gone and spoken all over the world and have a pretty good network of technical experts that we can bring to bear to make sure that we have that technical level of credibility and realism in the project. And then my business partner, Mark Homnick, he has spent 25 years of his career with AT&T Bell Labs and then with Intel Corporation. He's a program manager, so he's very good at assembling groups of people and defining a schedule and a budget and keeping a project on track and looking out for the problem areas before they even become problems. He's managed over $1 billion in capital projects in his career. And so that's very important, too, when you talk to the investors that, well, okay, can I trust you guys to actually be able to execute this? You know, can I believe your schedule? Can I believe your budget? And the answer is yes. Mark has the experience, and in addition, all of these things have been validated through third parties. So it's not just our conjecture, or even however professional that conjecture might be. So in terms of what it might cost to build a facility like what we're talking about, it's 70,000 square feet, by the way. We've had the CMGC look at it and say, well, okay, we know what materials cost, we know what it costs to build things, and this is about what it would cost. And okay, yes, I think you could match that schedule. So, you know, again, it's all trying to retire risk and prove to the investor that we've done our homework. Additionally, some other members of the team at Four Frontiers, we have a pretty impressive technical group of consultants that we pull in on an as-needed basis, and we'll pull them in, again, to help us maintain that level of technical credibility and realism as we develop the guest experience. And then we have some advisors. You may recognize a few names on this list. Jane Ponter was one of the original Biosphere 2 inhabitants, and a number of other folks that are working with us. So where are we right now? Accomplishments to date. I mentioned we have the 75-acre site under contract at this point, a long-term lease agreement. We also have, it works out to, I think it's $2.4 million of tax abatements, or 1.4, I'm sorry. So it's from the city of Titusville and Brevard County. So that's very good. That saves us on our taxes. This is pretty incredible. We've been working with the Space Coast Office of Tourism, Rob Varley, the executive director over there. And he has committed, we build this facility, he will make this the centerpiece of the marketing campaign that he does for the county every year. It's an international marketing campaign, so we'll be the centerpiece of this $4 million campaign. So that's very significant. It helps us, as you know, as you're trying to gain market penetration at the beginning of a new project like this, it's very expensive, the amount of marketing dollars you need to spend. So this is tremendous. Some other things, the city and the county have been tremendously supportive of the project. You can imagine with all of the layoffs over at Kennedy Space Center that they are desperate to get any kind of jobs at all there. Turns out our Phase 1A, our main interspace attraction, would bring in 112 new full-time jobs. So they're very excited about that. In fact, the planning department there in the city is actively assisting us, which is almost unheard of in putting together all of the approvals and everything. Seed funding. Basically, what has funded this to this point? We've raised several $100,000, which has funded all of this development work, the master planning, the conceptualization of the guest experience, the marketing studies. All of that has been through our seed funding. And we're now going out and we're starting to raise, actually going back to some of the investors that we had from the first round and trying to get green-lighted for the second stage. So we've done our homework. In fact, that's the response we got from some of these large investors was, okay, because we didn't have any of this done at that point. It was kind of an idea. And they said, well, you need to go do your homework and then come back to us. So we're at the point now where we're going back to them. As I mentioned, the concept development, the site layout, the visitor experience, the building architecture are all complete. Our show design and construction estimates have been validated. We've also been reaching out to, we've got 25 letters and statements of support from scientists, politicians, opinion leaders, again, just to demonstrate that it's not just us that thinks this is a good idea, but there's some prominent people that think this is a good idea. We've also been reaching out to some of these new space firms. With the concept as it is, obviously it's very important that we incorporate these new space companies and their people and technology in the center, so we need to have agreements in place to do that. So we have agreements in place with 14 of the companies. Those are confidential. I can't share with you who those people are. Some mostly smaller new space firms. There's one medium-sized one that you would definitely recognize. We're very concerned about doing things in the proper sequential order. So again, we want to make sure that we do our homework before we move on to the next stage. A lot of these folks that you might go talk to, you're only going to get one shot with. So you sure as heck better be polished. And so some of the larger new space firms, the Virgin Galactics and the Space Adventures and all these kind of guys, we'll go to once we have obtained the full funding and the project is moving forward. I also mentioned we pulled on the executive producer and the experience design team, Idea Inc. and My Design. So we've really kind of rounded out here our development team for the project. And they'll pull on, obviously, if we need somebody that's an expert in ride design or in lighting, or they have done these kind of projects before. Orlando is one of the best places in the world to do a project like this. All of the skill sets are readily available, and so they'll pull them in as needed. And then, as I said, the marketing study is complete, and that really validated our assumptions which drive our financials. So the bankers we've been talking to are very interested in that information, as are the investors. And our current status, so we're going out, we're still soliciting some of the business partners and tenants for the center, so if they want to set up a sub-element within the attraction, if they want to lease out an element, they want to have an operation on site. We're still analyzing the data from the omnibus. We've got a tremendous amount of data about who these people are we need to, that are interested in the concept. So we need to analyze that so that we can target our marketing efforts. The master planning is proceeding on schedule. I mentioned that was the schedule critical element. And so we've got 6 or 7 of 12 of the steps that are required. There's public approvals and notices and all this are complete at this point. And as I mentioned, at this point, we're going back to our potential investors to get green-lighted for the next stage. This is an eye chart, and I'm not going to go through all of this, but the point of fact is that, as you can imagine, dealing with an ex-Intel guy, these guys are very anal. They've done the schedule, created the schedule in gory detail. This is a summary schedule. So the point of fact is that We get green-lighted within the next few months is what the current schedule is. We would immediately pull on board the show design group, and they would begin their efforts. And we would hope to break ground sometime in the first or second quarter of next year, with the grand opening planned for August of 2012. And I have some supplemental information that I think I'll share with you here because I think you guys will be interested in it. What we try to do is we try to keep it very succinct in just the things that are important because, again, you're pitching to investors that have very short attention spans, and so you don't want a lot of superfluous stuff in there. If they're interested, you can always show it. So I'll show you some of the supplementary information. Give you a little bit better idea about where the facility is located. This is the Orlando airport here. The theme parks are all off in this area. And there's this main corridor. If you've ever been to Florida, 528 takes you over. They keep on changing the name. It used to be the Beach Line. I think now it's the B Line Expressway. And it takes you over to the Space Coast. This is Brevard County here, up and down the coast. And it splits off 407, goes north, it crosses I-95, and then runs into 405, which will take you over to the KSC and the visitor complex right here. Our facility is right here on that major corridor. Zooming in a little bit more, just to drive home the point, our guests and KSC guests, our guests get off and KSC guests keep going. And here's the 75-acre site. So blow up some of those smaller pictures that I showed you before. These are early artistic renderings of what certain areas within the attraction might look like. They're not intended for you to go in and scrutinize and say, oh, wait, what is this tank right here? You know, no, the idea is to give you a feel. You know, what might this place feel like, in general look like, a flavor for it. It's more to elicit ideas and get people excited than anything else. So this would be the New Space Training Center, and they try to incorporate some elements, you know, spacesuit area and various things in here. But anyway, I really like this image. And then the Mars experience. So the idea is that you have some exterior area here with various pieces of hardware and equipment in it, simulated Mars terrain. This is going to be pretty good size. This is probably on the order of 30,000 square feet total, so it's pretty good sized. Somehow you're going to have this impression that it's much larger than this building that you're in, and there are certain tricks that you can employ to do that. Olympus Mons in the distance, and the habitat, the settlement with windows looking out. This is going to be a multi-story structure. The rooms are going to be on the second and third story, so that at the end of your day or whenever you want to just take a break from your multi-day experience, you go up to your room, and I'll show you, I think that's the next image. Yes. This is what your view might be like in your room, looking out across the Martian terrain. It's going to be high-tech, a little futuristic, but again, you know, we have to take a few liberties because you might say, well, the first settlers aren't going to live in anything that's extravagant, you know. Remember, these are tourists, okay? And we have to have a few liberties here because they need to go and have a good time. Now, not to say that this is going to be, you know, 2,000 square feet per room or something. I mean, it's going to be well designed, but also we're not going to just shove them in here's your shelf, you know.
You want to have some that have shelves.
Well, you know, we were thinking that, especially for education programs, we might have a whole big student groups that come in, and they might want an even more realistic scenario. So it might be possible that this room is modular, and we can take the bed out and we can put shelves in, you know, we can break it up in different ways. We want to try to maintain a level of flexibility if we can to accommodate changes in our programs. Yeah. But, you know, I never said at what point in future Martian history this is going to be, you know. So it could be a little bit further out than that, the first years of that first settlement. We're also thinking about expansion. These type of facilities either expand or die. So you need to plan right from the get-go areas where you can